Shalom, call on Yahweh Shem Shah. Shalom to the left. Now this video I actually came across by accident. I wasn't even looking for this video. I happened to be listening to different little historical videos and stuff online. And I happened to doze off, and then this video popped up. I'm like, damn, let me actually check this out, right? Because I heard stories from like, family members and stuff. I ain't actually heard too many of the other details about it. About the one guy named John Horse and the Black Seminoles. If you're familiar with Florida, you have an area down there near Orlando or D-Land, Florida. Or if you go through Tallahassee and stuff like that, we got areas where they promote the Seminoles a lot. And the reason why, because back then those tribes, which the tribes were mixed together, in this video I basically break it down. The different tribes, they actually was giving Esau hell. Like Esau don't want nobody to know about that part of history. They don't want nobody to know that it was times they was losing. They try to promote this proud image that nobody can take them down and bring them down, but the Most High will bring them down. But he also used certain men at a certain time to bring them down as well. I'm gonna let this video play. I'm gonna post some precepts.
It's hard to imagine that Hollywood hasn't jumped all over this. You would think it would be box office gold because it's part Spartacus and part Braveheart and part Amistad and part Glory with a little bit of Dances with Wolves thrown in. A story decades long of oppression and freedom fighting. I don't understand why there hasn't been more attention.
Wait, as she's speaking in this video, it's a short video, so the spirit, it won't be that long. I'll bring out some precepts. But it's a reason why Esau don't promote this. Just like another movie, you have people speaking of making a movie about the Haitian Revolution, 1804, around that time frame. Esau not finna push that movie out. They don't want to push none of that movie out. And then they had trouble making the movie Django, and what was the other movie? I'm trying to think of the exact name of it. You had the movie The Hateful Eight, the movie Magnificent Seven. They slid a bunch of other characters in there as well, but the main character was a Jake, which was Denzel Washington. You had Birth of a Nation, different movies like that. Then they started coming up with a bunch of fantasy stuff to throw people off, because stuff like that triggers something in our people's mind to dig more, want to learn more, like, because these Edomites, they don't cover the faces of the judges. So our people, they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't really think highly of themselves, they don't think great. The majority of them, you have some that do, but the majority of them, they don't think highly of themselves, because Esau promote himself so hardcore and put himself to the front. That's all you see. You look at the angels, they white. Supposedly the Most High and the Lord, so-called white men. You look at the superheroes, all that stuff, man. When in reality, that shit is false. Let me go to this precept. It's the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. And this precept always coming all the time. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And who is it? Because these would be considered judges. These men that was putting down judgment on Esau, actually standing up against him, casting out judgment. And as you see the video, it's going to go more and more into detail on why they was doing what they was doing.
To John Horse and the Black Seminoles. But hopefully we can correct this.
Now, before I let this play on anymore, this ain't to give nobody no ideas to go try to do a damn revolt. The Most High say vengeance is his, so he already got Esau in the trick bag. And if you've been watching the news, these nations, they've been gearing up together and turning on Esau. So all we gotta do is just continue to push the word, practice keeping the commandments, being edifying, and be patient and wait on your Yahweh and Yahweh Shah to make that checkmate move.
John Horse and the Black Seminoles deserve to be remembered for a number of reasons. They created the largest haven in the U.S. South for runaway slaves. They led the largest slave revolt in U.S. history. They secured the only emancipation of rebellious slaves prior to the U.S. Civil War, and they formed the largest mass exodus of slaves across the United States.
And I just want to catch that part right there too, where she talk about the Exodus and then show that part of the map. Let me go to this real quick. The second Exodus. Because you still have people that try to play and be like, oh, how do you know those people are the tribes? Okay, let's go down history a little bit farther back. Let's see, I want to say it's second Ezra chapter 13 if I'm mistaken. Give me 1 minute, let me pull this up. This is second Ezra chapter 13. Let's scroll down. See exactly I want to go at. I'm going to start in second Ezra chapter 13 and just jump down to verse 40 and just read on down some more. Now it says, that it? Let me go back. Verse 40 says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away. And the 10 tribes it was talking about was Ephraim, Naphtali, Manasseh, Reuben, Gad, Simeon, Issachar, who I'm missing, Zebulun, Manasseh, those other tribes. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hoshea, the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. I'm going to put a map too as well, just to give a little visualization of it. It says, they carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they will lead a multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. It says that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow place of the river. For the Most High showed them signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half in the same region as called Osiris. I'm going to read on some more. It says, then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they should begin to come. So if you look at this map, let me go back. Let's see, I'm just reading on, just going on some more on the water, just pull it up like this. I was trying to find an actual app with the different apocryphal scriptures in there. I can pull it up so there'll be some clarity, because I know this stuff. I just wanted to share this information though. Now it says, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through, because if you actually look at the map, let me pull this map up. Now, if you actually look at this map, you find the actual one. This area, this region, they actually traveled through this. Let me find the actual one because they got some just a little bit off. You got currents actually fighting against where somebody would travel. So if somebody trying to travel this way, the currents are going to the east. If they're trying to go south and go to the west, they got to go against that. That's why the scripture says right here, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, and they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude of a piece. I'm going to go on some more. And there was actually people that got left behind, which you talk about later on, different precepts. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, starting with Judah. Let me go back some more. Let's see if I can get an actual bigger map. Okay, here we go. Here go a good map. So you make sure the color ain't too bright on there. Now, if you see right here where I got the mouse pointer, for somebody to travel through this region and go out and actually go south and then go westward, that's a long voyage. That's why I said that in this precept. It says, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed them signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. Because this region of the world right here, like I said, the water actually flows this way. So actually trying to travel against it will literally be impossible. You're just forcing yourself into something that can possibly make a ship capsize. And the Most High set this up like this just so they can come over here first. And Judah, Benjamin, and Levi get brought simultaneously with the transatlantic slave trade. So, for them to come over this way, they ended up in places like Florida, the Bahamas, St. Croix, St. Vincent areas, which they were different names then, but those are the names they have today. Jamaica, Cuba, South America area, Mexico area, all these different little areas. And predominantly this area, because this is one of the main coastlines. Still to this day, a lot of trade and stuff happen on the first coast all the way up to the east coast.
Moving from the Florida Everglades through Indian Territory, what would become Oklahoma, eventually locating in Mexico, where they secured title to their own land. It's a remarkable story. It's overlooked not just by filmmakers, it's not well known in popular culture, and in fact it's been overlooked by historians of slavery, if you can believe it. In the early 18th century, two groups in particular fled the colonial South into Spanish Florida, into the Everglades. One of these groups were Seminoles, who were migrating from the various colonies, just trying to avoid white encroachment, basically, trying to move someplace that white colonists weren't. And the other group was runaway slaves, people who were fleeing and trying to create a free life for themselves. Both were welcome in Florida, and in fact, the Spanish crown offered runaway slaves their freedom if they would defend the land for the crown, for the Spanish. So a mixed society emerged in the Everglades of intermarriage, family intermingling between these runaway slaves and the Seminoles. And in fact, the first legally sanctioned black free town in the North American continent was in the Spanish.
See, that's Esau with that color shit, that black, that white shit. No, nobody's black. When you look at people's skin, it's brown. And they actually come from a lineage. See, what did Esau do? Let's go back to this in the book of Psalms. It's in the book of Psalms, chapter 83. I'm going to just read on down and pull this up in full view. Book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 3. It says, but I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And who always talking about some Confederate shit? Confederate flag, Confederate this, the Federation or whatever. That's Esau, man. They can't escape their characteristics still to this day. They still do the same shit. Just like our people still do the same stuff. When they talk about Jacob being a plain man and dwell in the tents, the characteristics of our people may be more chill, laid back. Like to drink, deal with women if they ain't